Doctor Who Season 2 is right round the corner, so to absolutely no one's surprise, theories and speculations are once again running wild.
Alright then, I called the nurse.
There is something already connecting us.
We've also got some official news about a new villain, a new casting announced by the BBC today, and people are wondering whether this is actually the villain for the finale, which is a pretty big deal because whoever this character is, they're gonna probably be quite important, because if you look at the standard Doctor Who finale, you either get a classic villain or some sort of big returning character. But we'll come to this casting announcement in a minute, because in this video, I also asked you guys over on my Instagram page, which you can go and check out if you haven't already, for your craziest theories on the upcoming season. And also, I saw a couple of really cool theories over on Twitter about the possible identity of our new companion Belinda Chandra, which may shock you. Maybe she's the Doctor. Maybe. But as I say, we'll come to that later. Let's start by looking at a couple of responses from you guys on what crazy theories you have for the upcoming season. Kyle here suggests that the 8th Doctor and River Song each get a spin-off. Look, I'd be here for that. An 8th Doctor spin-off would be lovely. I don't particularly understand how this is a theory for the upcoming season, but you know what? I think we could all get behind that. Although, River Song, no. I love Alex Kingston. I think River Song's cool, but her story's done. That's over. The next comment is, I've had a quick scan of these, and there's about 17 people all saying the same thing, but we've got one outlier, okay? Mrs. Flood will not be the Rani. As I say, loads of people are suggesting that Mrs. Flood is going to turn out to be the Rani, and I can see why. I mean, this comment here from Liam actually explains the thought. So, Mrs. Flood is the Rani. Flood equals rain. Like, the rain comes before a flood. And Belinda Chandra, Rani Chandra from Sarah Jane Adventures. Rani, Rain, you had the whole thing in the last season of Sue Tech being the wrong anagram. What if it's the wrong anagram again, and Mrs. Flood, Rain, Rani, I see where it comes from. But at the same time, I'm far more of a new Who expert than a classic Who, but I don't see any similarities in the characterisation of Mrs. Flood or of the Rani. Mrs. Flood feels far more supernatural and a bit bonkers, and if anything, the Rani is the opposite of that. Like, she's a scientist obsessed with her experiments rather than some sort of crazy, supernatural, scary old lady. But then again, Sutek used to be a scary Darth Vader-y guy in a mask. Darth Vader was a weird comparison, but he's a dog now, so that was the wrong anagram. Maybe when they've had the wrong anagram, they turn into something that they're not. I didn't really know where I was going with that, but look, I see the theory, I hear the theory, it's not impossible, I wouldn't put it past Russell, but I kind of hope she's not the Rani. We've got a very slight variation here on Mrs. Flood is the Rani or the Master. No, I don't think she's the Master, but a theory I do have about the new season, we saw this shot in the trailer where Kate is going into like these underground unit vaults. There's been apparent whisperings and murmurs about the Master actually being kept down there, so whenever the Doctor's not available, like in episode 4 of this upcoming season, which we know is a standalone Ruby episode, Ruby and Unit, while the Doctor can't get back to Earth, it would make sense if Kate goes to the basement, kind of like the way the Master was locked in the vault during Series 10, and they have this sort of dialogue of, we need help, kind of like Hannibal Lecter. They're like, look, we don't like you, but you're a genius, you're a Time Lord, how do we solve this problem? And that also ties into all the theories about the war between the land and the sea having the Master in. It does make sense as well, because the Golden Tooth, that could have been Kate's hand that picked it up at the end of the giggle, so that she could store the Master in whatever cave thing they have. But also, I don't see the Master coming back this quickly. Like, I love the Master, they're one of my favourite Doctor Who characters, but give them a little break and then bring them back with some oomph. Mrs. Flood is Anita from Joy to the World. Now, this would make sense. It could, the name Anita Dobson, it could just be a little funny play there from Russell, like Susan Twist was the twist at the end. And it would make sense why Mrs. Flood appears to recognise the TARDIS, as she does in the church on Ruby Road. So, I like this theory. And also, apparently, Anita's coming back for the season 2 finale, so maybe there's links, but also I think it's unlikely. Jeevan Jono asks for more new villains. Yeah, I'm here for it. More new villains, cool. Speaking of more new villains, we have this one here that suggests that Anisi the Spider God is the god of stories, which once again, a lot of people are speculating Mrs. Flood is the god of stories. Let's say she's not. That big spider we've seen in the trailer is actually Anisi the Spider God. I think Anisi actually translates to spider, and they're the god of like stories and all of that jazz. So it would make sense, and I reckon, yeah, nail hit on the head there. I reckon that spider we see in the trailer is Anisi. Greenway95 says, new Daleks. I can see why you'd think there might be new Daleks in the new season because of that extermination looking effect in the trailer, but I don't think so. I do think there's a real possibility if Ncuti Gatwa is actually set to leave relatively soon. He may be, other than Paul McGann, the only Doctor to not have a Dalek story, which that would be a big shame, but I can see it happening. So no, I don't think, it's not impossible, but I don't think there will be Daleks in the new season. They do, however, have that set that they built for the Children in Need Dalek episode with Davros. Maybe they're going to utilise that, but I think Russell's made it clear he wants the Daleks to have a little bit of a break. Davros Saxon says, people will complain about the show being woke because something will happen. It's inevitable. No matter what happens, people will always yell the word woke at Doctor Who because it's now just, like, the word woke means nothing anymore. It's just a buzzword used to go, I don't like this. And if you actually use that word seriously, stop. Here's an interesting point. It's not as much a theory, but they raise a valid question. I think Ruby's dad is who we should be concerned about. The whole of last season was who's Ruby's mum? Who dropped her off at the church? We have actually heard the name of Ruby's dad, but what if there is something more mystical to him? I mean, all the comments made by Maestro are still yet to be justified. Like, this creature is wrong, there's a hidden song inside her soul. What on earth is that all about? I mean, maybe Ruby's dad is this hidden song or some cool stuff. Let me know your theories on that in the comments. I think this is a good point. Now, it's kind of already been mentioned in this video, but this makes another point from Russell's aspect of using puns and whatnot. Belinda's surname is Chandra. The surname Chandra was also used for Rani Chandra in the Sarah Jane Adventures. Belinda is the Rani. I mean, I can't, this might even be a joke tweet, I can't lie, because I think it is very far-fetched, but a lot of people have been suggesting this quite seriously, and I don't think so. I think that's just, Russell likes to reuse character surnames. I'm pretty sure he's used the surname Chandra in one of his other non-Doctor Who related shows. So, unless he's doing some massive tie-in to all of that, it's just the same surname, innit? Now, here's a really, really cool theory. I don't know how likely it is to happen, but over from Jess on Twitter, rewrite on repeat. She suggests, okay, and this is cool, Belinda is the 16th Doctor with a chameleon arch, regenerating into a body based on Mundy Flynn as a reminder not to be a warrior. They can't land in her time again because the TARDIS is trying to prevent a paradox. The nurse, that comment seen in the trailer, is foreshadowing of this. I mean, it makes sense. If the Doctor were to use the chameleon arch in the modern day, doctor, nurse, it kind of seeps through so they get a job in the hospital. And I can't lie, from what I've seen of Varada Sethu, I think she'd be fantastic casting as the 16th Doctor. And what a cool plot twist this would be if, like, you reach the end of season 2 and you realise the Doctor's been travelling with the future Doctor, and then they unlock their potential of being the Doctor. All of that would be so cool. And I kind of like, but also hate, the explanation of the Doctor got this face from Mundy Flynn as a reminder not to be a warrior. Like, it makes sense, but it feels a little too similar to the sort of waffly explanation we get for Peter Capaldi's face. Sometimes I think the show shouldn't be afraid of just going, okay, logistically, we've cast the same person, they deserved this role, rather than trying to explain it away, because sometimes it feels convoluted and it can feel a little samey. But also, that part about the TARDIS not being able to land is very, very cool, because if she is the Doctor, yeah, it all gels well. I love it. It's a very good theory, but I think it's unlikely to happen, but I'm not ruling it out. And finally, the casting of a new villain for the upcoming season 2. Freddie Fox will be joining the cast of Doctor Who to play an unknown character. We've also got this promo image released, and if you look in the background, there's these 2 guards, which we've seen in the trailer, from what everyone is assuming, and almost is definitely judging by the Doctor's costume, the finale of Season 2. Now, it's interesting because in this article, in a forthcoming episode, Fox is playing a fearsome villain from another planet. Here's the first look at his character below. So we know he's a villain, and they're making a big deal out of his casting, like he's been in some of Russell T Davies' other shows, like Cucumber. But surely he's not the main antagonist for the Season 2 finale. He's going to somewhat aid it, or maybe he's tied into an episode before the finale, then he comes in and the main villain defeats him, or something along these lines. I think there's a possibility that whoever the big Season 2 finale villain's going to be, we're going to be led to believe it's Mrs. Flood, but in fact, Mrs. Flood is the good person trying to stop the finale villain. Like, she's guiding the Doctor and Belinda along to reach a point where they can stop whomever may be in the finale, but let me know your theories on that in the comments down below. I'm pretty excited. It looks like fun casting. I'm not 100% sold on the horns that Freddie Fox's character has, but who knows? I'm not going to judge it till I see it. It could be a cool villain. It could be naff. We have no idea. It's all in the execution, but I've got faith. Season 2 is going to be good. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. As ever, if you did enjoy, please do remember to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. You can turn on the notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on any future videos. And you can also check out the Patreon for exclusive behind-the-scenes content and early access to new videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.